and A-level mechanics for the Nebco shop. Learn more at nebco.com. If you're driven and ready to grow with a company that's been around since 1908, apply today at nebco.com.
When you were a kid, clubs were cool. Robotics club and space club and stuff like that. But what do adults get? Book clubs and quilting clubs? Nah, forget that. How about margarita clubs and old-fashioned clubs? Get to Upside Bar and Lounge for the best clubs in town. Try all 10 varieties of Upside margaritas or old fashions and take home a free souvenir glass. Grab the whole crew and pair it with taco night on Mondays or whiskey Wednesdays. Upside Bar and Lounge at 29th and Pine Lake.
MHC isn't new, just a new name. Mo's Moving is now Mo's Home and Commercial. Whether moving across town or across the state, MHC Moving has you covered, specializing in home, apartments, assisted, and independent living moves. MHC can also handle your commercial moves as well. There's never fees on trucks, stairs, elevators, long carry, and last-minute booking, and no trip or fuel charges. Also, no upcharge on weekends, and they do offer payment plans through PayPal. Call MHC Moving today at 402-853-7167 or go to mhcmoving.com.
Rico here with HIS Auto Care at 70th and Van Dorn, letting you know HIS is a great place to bring your vehicle for service. With superior service, bumper to bumper, we'll treat your vehicle like it's your mother's. Doesn't get any better than that. So call 402-488-8934 and HIS Auto will make you glad you did. 5% off, mention this ad, and for sure your mother will be proud you called. 402-488-8934, HIS Auto Care, 70th and Van Dorn. God bless you.
At Valentino's, we're on a mission for tradition. On every slice, for every bite. Golden baked crust, cooked to perfection every time. Savory sweet sauce that's made from our own secret recipe. Loaded with the perfect amount of fresh toppings and melty mozzarella cheese. It's the tradition that Nebraskans have come to love. From game day to every day. Valentino's. Taste the tradition.
Big box stores are tempting for buying equipment for your high schooler in sports or for yourself in your sports leisures. But buying new is awfully expensive. Why not go somewhere with new and used options? Play It Again Sports is quality, slightly to gently used equipment, and 50% of their inventory is actually new equipment. And it's more than baseball, softball, and golf. They also have equipment for disc golf, fitness, hockey, and more. Plus, they're always buying products. Bring your gear you're done with and get trade money on the spot. Play It Again Sports at 48th and Vine.
Have you been injured in an accident and don't know where to turn? You need an attorney you can trust to handle your case with professionalism and compassion. The attorneys at Liberty Law Group understand that a call to an attorney is a call for help. If you've been injured, we want to help you. Liberty Law's experienced attorneys are committed to the pursuit of justice for those injured. Call Liberty Law and find out how we can help you get the compensation you deserve. Call 877-42-LIBERTY. Call the trial attorneys you can trust. 877-42-LIBERTY.
Make bill paying a breeze with Text to Pay. LES texts you 1 week before your bill's due date. Just reply to the text to pay. It's that easy. Log into your account at les.com to sign up today.
Saturday. Eagle Raceway is open for a full season of dirt track racing action every Saturday night. Don't miss the epic battles on the high banks of Eagle Raceway each Saturday between the Nebraska Septic Sprint Cars, Nebraska Lottery Modifieds, Avid Realty Sport Mods, Valentino's Hobby Stocks, and A1 Iron Stock Cars. Let's go racing. Eagle Raceway, just 10 miles east of Lincoln on O Street. Check out the full schedule at eagleraceway.com.
This is James Harrell with NP Dodge Real Estate. When I became a licensed realtor, I wanted a brokerage that would help me grow in my new career. I found that in Lincoln First Realty. When Lincoln First was acquired by NP Dodge, the training and support I received only got better. I love knowing I have the power of the NP Dodge brand behind me. I would recommend NP Dodge to new agents looking to jumpstart their real estate career and to current agents who want to take their business to the next level.
Expand your career with NP Dodge. Call Eric at 402-434-2222.
When opportunity knocks, you don't want to miss the call. Hamilton Business Technologies makes communication easy and efficient using customized technology, all while putting people first. Whether you're working from the office, at home, or on the go, Hamilton Business Technologies equips your business with the right tools for smooth, professional call handling. Hamilton Business Technologies. Real people, real technology solutions. Learn more at hamiltonisbusiness.com.
Are you a skilled mechanic looking for your next opportunity? Nebco is hiring. They're looking for experienced mechanics to join our family-owned team. They offer competitive wages, great benefits, service trucks, OEM-level diagnostic software, and career growth opportunities. Apply today at nebco.com. Positions include lead and A-level mechanics for the Nebco shop. Learn more at nebco.com. If you're driven and ready to grow with a company that's been around since 1908, apply today at nebco.com.
Live from the heart of Lincoln, America, welcome to Ticket Weeknights on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
All right, welcome back in to Ticket Weeknights. Harrison Arns on the ones and twos. As always, you guys can join in 402-464-5685. That is the Sartor Heyman text line. Facebook, YouTube, Allo Channel 961, and X. You can put a face to the voice. We still got Royals on the brick and mortar, but there's too much to talk about with Big Ten Media Day. So with that being said, I do got Rudy in here. I got Tristan. Rudy, is this your first time on air?
It's my first time as an employee on air. I came on the Black and Gold NWU podcast before I got hired here. So yeah.
Oh, okay.
First time since January at least.
Okay, perfect. So in all fairness, the first thing to get out, talked to Tristan about it yesterday. How many wins are you okay with for Husker football at the end of the year? Like, what's going to be too little and what's just enough?
Yeah, I think obviously they set a good baseline last year with the 6 getting into the bowl game. But I think, like Dylan Raiola kind of touched on it, he said that this, like, their goal is to win a championship, which is great. But he said, like, even if they don't, it's not a failure. So I think, like, sitting around like that 8 to 9 wins is like something I think a big part of the Husker fan base can kind of be like, okay, like, we're going the right direction. So I think 8 to 9 wins is somewhere I'd be okay with.
Yeah, I'm in that same ballpark. Tristan, I think you were landing on there too. 8-3.
Yeah, 100%. I think 8 to 9 wins is huge. And like Rudy just said, I think that's a great point that, a championship is, what they're striving for. But at the end of the season, if it is 8 or 9 wins, it would suck to look back and say, oh, this was a failure of a season when it's an improvement from the year before. So I think you look at the big picture and say we're going for it all, but 8 to 9 wins is definitely a successful year.
Yeah, fans' expectations, we're not the ones playing, so we can have that expectation.
Yep.
If you're the player, like, obviously the goal's undefeated. If you're a fan, you get to be a little bit more picky and choosy on which games you think you have to win. Give me the biggest threats. Give me the obvious ones, and then give me a dark horse, a game that maybe no one's even talking about. I'll go first. I'll give you guys some time to think about it. Like, obvious ones, Penn State, Michigan. I think USC's fair one to throw up there, and then Iowa, just because last time we beat them was, 4 years ago? It's been a hot minute since we beat Iowa. Those 4, and then again, I throw that out there. The UCLA game scares me too, because I feel like that can be a stretch where we see it every year with Husker football. You lose one, next one, your confidence goes down. You lose 3. And until Nebraska has that competitor mindset of not going into halftime, being down by 2 scores and thinking about the end of the game, as opposed to we're competitors, we'll figure out a way to win this one in the 4th. And that's kind of where that UCLA trap scares me. Obviously, with Nico Iamaleava, it might be a pretty good team. Now,
yeah,
Deshaun Foster's there. He doesn't have Eric Bieniemy. It's going to be a little bit different, but they got enough coming back, and they definitely upgraded at the quarterback position. How fast does it click, though, is the other thing, because obviously that was pretty late with Tennessee. Tennessee's going to have quarterback issues as well with that quick plug-in. But that's my dark horse. I just think UCLA is a team that a lot of people are going to overlook, and they beat the brakes off of us on our own home field last year.
Yeah. I think a huge win would be a Michigan or a Penn State game. If Nebraska can pull out one of those, I think that just sets the tone. I feel like Nebraska hasn't had one of those big wins in years. Correct me if I'm wrong, but we're at Maryland, right?
Yeah, I think Maryland's on the road.
Yeah, I think that's one. It's just a long travel. You're getting there, and I think it's kind of in the midst of playing these bigger teams. You got UCLA, you got Michigan, you have these bigger games. So I think that's one that's almost like a trap game. And Nebraska has fallen into those traps multiple times, as you said, the UCLA game last year. So I think if we can pull out one against Penn State or Michigan and then just, walk into Maryland and College Park and just kind of dominate and just show like, yes, we're the better team here. We came out to win, and not let that one be a one that kind of is a scare or a trap game. I think that's extremely important.
Yeah, we have that problem a lot. We play down to our competition, and then we play up versus the Ohio States. Not so much Michigan as of late, but certainly with Ohio State. Rudy, what about you? Give me a dark horse team.
I interestingly enough think Maryland's probably going to be one that like is my sleeper pick. I think they've had, I wouldn't say trouble with them, but it's definitely a team that they should be able to beat, but it's always one that they kind of don't. And so again, USC is one that I'm interested to see how that plays out. Michigan, that's one, again, huge win. I think that'd be crazy. They talked about it this morning on the early break that would that be a game that they kind of storm the field? I don't think that would be entirely, but it's definitely one that for Nebraska to take it, especially now they got Bryce Underwood coming in. It's like that's a game that is easily winnable in my opinion. For as stacked as Michigan is, they still have a lot of clicking to do just as well. And so I think they could easily take that on a Saturday in September if they play as well as they can. They don't have an excuse to lose, in my opinion. So.
No Sherrod Moore either, right?
Yeah,
He can't coach.
He chose to miss that.
So, true freshman quarterback. That one, I don't think people would storm the field, but the bars tabs would be pretty nice that night if that were to happen. Because that we're hosting them, correct?
Yep.
Yeah. No head coach on the road. Nebraska, most likely. Is Cincinnati worried about being a dark horse at all? Just like right off the gate, break your heart?
I think Nebraska's ready for that one. I think that's one where they're looking at the season. They know what they accomplished last year. Nebraska has momentum coming off a bowl game last year. I think that's a game where they are almost establishing who they are. They're not the, Cornhuskers we've seen in previous years where all the hype's around them. I think it's gotten to the point where they're just like, we don't care about the hype. We just got to go and win. And so I think that's a game that Nebraska is ready for. And with the Michigan game, I am curious if there is a storming of the field because I feel like the standard for storming fields, I feel like has continuously just gotten lower and lower. And I wouldn't be surprised if Husker fans got real excited for that one. I don't think it'll happen, but no, not too worried about Cincinnati. I think Nebraska is going to be really prepared for that.
I'm with you there. Since we're on, just real quick, then we'll play some more audio clips. Where were you at when Nebraska stormed the field versus Wisconsin, right? Did it go bowling? Or who did we storm the field? Was it Colorado?
I think it was both.
Yeah.
Did we do it twice last year?
Yeah. Where was that? The Colorado game, I actually remember that one because I was in California and just visiting my girlfriend. And I was like, we have to watch the Nebraska game. Like, we have to. It's Nebraska, Colorado. And it was one of those where the hype was there.
Mm-hmm.
And, everyone wanted to see Deion, Shedeur, Travis Hunter. And when Nebraska kind of just like first half just, put it to them, I was like, hell yeah, we're back. We're back. And then, it wasn't the case. But that was definitely a fun one to watch.
Yeah, I never wondered. Do you guys care if is there a line where you draw like we can't storm the field? That looks bad as a university.
I think obviously it's great that Nebraska made the bowl game last year. Like I was hyped up for that too. I was also at the Colorado game. I was kind of cheering for Colorado. I'm a huge Deion Sanders fan, so that goes into that.
But, be careful here on
no. Seriously. But I fully have delved into the Husker fan base now, so I'm cool with that now. But I think you want to make that bowl game for the first time, but I also thought at that point it was kind of like you finally did it. That's the reason you're storming, but it's also it's like there's not many other teams in the country who are storming 6 wins, and that's the only thing I kind of held back on was that. But I get kind of the context behind it a little bit as well. So
yeah, I used to be a bit of a stickler, and then I went through college and we never went bowling, and I was like, this sucks. Like if you get an opportunity, go do it because I never got one, and anybody who did get one. Yeah, I don't care. Do whatever you want as long as you're proper about it. I gotta say, Rudy, the Wesleyan colors make more sense. Is it just the black and gold?
Yeah, sure. I'll take that. I'll say that's the answer today.
Oh, okay. First time on the mic. Where did Nebraska really start to come in your eye then? Like, you know what? I'm done with the Buffaloes and Deion Sanders. I'm a Husker football fan.
I think it's honestly has to do a lot with Dylan Raiola. I wasn't huge on him when he was getting recruited here. Obviously, he's a 5-star for a reason. Transferred from or flipped from Georgia, so obviously he had the talent to back it up. But it was always you're still coming to Nebraska. You still have to prove that you should be able to win games here. And as it went on, you kind of saw that confidence in him start rising, and that's exactly when I became a fan. It's I always have a thing for players that play more than just their position. If they're out there doing the team leader stuff, they're talking, they're emotional in a good way. It's that kind of exactly what rose me to become a Husker fan, I guess, over the last year. Because I'm a Longhorn fan, just I think that's making it worse.
You're from Texas, though,
I'm from
right?
Texas,
Yeah,
so
okay.
I get a pass
Okay.
there. But so it was always hard for me to cheer for the Huskers. It was a lot easier to just banter with my roommates. But Dylan Raiola is someone that I'm 100% bought in now. So I love watching him play here.
I won't even take that as an insult. I'll take that as hope. If you got an outsider that says we do it maybe too much here, the bias of Husker football. We talk about how great it's going to be. If you saw something from the outside that switched you over, maybe that bodes well. Let's get some clips though from Big Ten Media Days. You guys hear Rule's comments on Scott Frost comments from the Big 12 Media Days. Rule did comment on this.
Yeah, what did he say?
All right. So We'll play the whole thing. We'll probably have to pause it maybe a few times. It is long, but here's Matt Rule again referring to Scott Frost's comments from the Big 12 media days.
First of all, I have a ton of respect for Scott, and I've always been very empathetic for what he went through because, like, this was his home. You know, like, if you guys fire me tomorrow, like, I'm just going to go back to Cape May and sit on the beach and go back to where I'm from. But, like, this was his home, right? And so, like, this offseason, we put up a huge picture of Scott as a player in the coach's area because I took a picture and I sent it to Ryan Callahan down there because I can't imagine, like, what that feels like for him, right? I know what it felt like to get run out of Carolina. And I would say to people, like, I don't think I took the right job for me. It wasn't the right fit. That doesn't mean it's a bad. No, I will say this. This was not a good job when I got here. Like, behind on NIL. The facilities weren't what they were. Everything was behind. Trev convinced me, like, hey, Matt, this is going to, by the time we get to the point where we're going to be able to pay players, like, this is the only Big Ten school with no debt. We're going to, like, this right now we're talking about 20.5. It's going to go up percentages every year.
Okay, so right there, like a few things stick out right away. First one, does not blame Scott Frost at all. I'm not surprised by that. Even if he did blame Scott Frost, he wouldn't pull Scott Frost and make foolish comments at the Big Ten media days. He'd keep it, I think, close to his vest. The other part that really struck out to me, and that's where I want your thoughts, just talking about how terrible of a job it was when you first get in here, talking about, you know, the NIL, the facilities, all this stuff that just seemed to be lagging behind nutrition, strength training. Did we kind of get lost just being in our own airwaves of that? Like, just always assuming Nebraska's a great job because we have the fans, we have the facilities, which apparently even rules like, no, we're behind there as well. Thoughts on just Rule saying this was not a good job when he first got here?
Yeah, I think as fans, we think it's the greatest place ever, especially because there has been a lot of success. You know, you look at the 90s, look at the national championship. So I think that's what a lot of people expected. And so anytime we had a new hire, that's kind of what we expected. Like, we've done it before. Whoever comes in, come just do it again. And so I think when you really put into perspective, though, of how was this team when Matt Rule showed up and how had the previous years been? It wasn't a coach leaving because he was taking a better job because he was so great here. It's because he was another guy that came in and couldn't win. So now we're trying to find another guy that's coming into a losing program, and we need you to build it up. So I think that's always a tough place to show up to. It's not one of these coaching hires that, you know, it was a winning program, coach left, went somewhere bigger, and you come in to a team that's good. So honestly, I think as Nebraska fans, we do have to understand maybe this wasn't the greatest job. But I do feel like Nebraska does have, you know, the facilities. They have the money to, you know, really win championships and compete with the big dogs. They're closer, I want to say, to the Ohio States than they are, you know, the Northwesterns or even just, you know, the non-Power 4 team. So I think Matt Rule has built it into a better job. But I think when he came in, I think he is right on that. It's not wasn't the greatest opportunity.
Yeah, and I do gotta say, shout out Trev Alberts. You know, as much as we like to bag on him, you got Matt Rule and convinced Matt Rule, like, hey, this place can be successful. I understand not what you want right now, but believe me, we'll do X, Y, and Z. Rudy, we'll get your outsider perspective from Texas. What were you thinking of looking at Nebraska? And then when you got here, did it change at all? Were you still like, yeah, these facilities and X, Y, and Z, it is lacking?
Yeah, no, it definitely, because I had pulled up that quote earlier today, just like kind of researching a little bit. And I saw when he said that about like the facilities weren't the greatest, NIL wasn't there. And it's like that kind of surprised me because it's like you think of Nebraska as this huge brand, and it is. And it's like the fan base here, living here for the last 4 years, it's like these people just pump money into them and they love it, which is awesome. And so it's like to hear him say that, he's not going to lie about that, obviously. So it's like that eye opened me for sure. Like maybe it's not all glitz and glamours like we assume it is, like you were saying. And so like maybe that going into that perfectly, it wasn't an ideal job to be here in the first place when he got here, but it's like he's changing it around for the better, which is awesome. So I like seeing that. I've always said it too this last year. They have no reason to be bad this upcoming season. And so I think a big part of that obviously comes from the help and the resources they're getting. So it's good to see that turn around.
Yeah, and you know, I appreciate the genuine more than, you know, another, I hate to bang on Scott Frost, but like hardest practice, you know, we've had, like, which may be true, but like if you just say that stuff all the time, people are going to expect national championships, not going bowling again at the end of the season. Matt Rule, we check that box right there. The last part, and then we'll play some more of it that caught me off guard. I didn't realize only Big Ten school that doesn't have debt.
Yeah, there's quite a few schools out there that are, I mean, majorly in debt. I think I want to say there's only, you know, maybe there's less than 10 Power 4 schools that have zero debt. So, and Nebraska is one of them. And so I think that's why the athletic program has had some rising success in the NIL era.
Yeah, it seems like that's kind of a huge thing and how Matt Rule got sold on. It's like, listen, like we have no debt. The way this is going, when NIL comes around here, we're not going to have to worry about this backlog of money that we owe that's going to cut into whatever NIL operations that we may have down the road. So to add on to that, does the Big Ten start to take over more in sports? Because if you, and I was listening to Colin Cowherd talk about this, you look at a lot of the Big Ten universities, if you go back to the money, who's funding a lot of those money in the universities? A lot of these Big Ten schools are very tech. They got that in that right now, most lucrative industry, a lot of healthcare specialists, a lot of these universities focus on the medical side of things. So when you get to that, because of NIL, are we going to see the Big Ten maybe actually just take over as being the powerhouse? Because that's not my words. That's what Colin Cowherd thinks is going to happen.
I think as an SEC fan myself, I think they're definitely trending that way. I think it's kind of been said by a lot of like SEC coaches that top to bottom, the SEC is more powerful, but the Big Ten has the top half of the rosters and lineups. And so I think they definitely, NIL is going to make it a way more even playing field. And we're seeing that already, even outside of the Big Ten. Texas Tech is getting 5-star recruits now, which is insane. And so it's like, I definitely think they have the chance to do it. I still think a big part of that's going to come from how you recruit it. Like, if I'm a football player, there's a great chance I'm going to go to Florida versus Northwestern. That's just how recruiting is going to be still. Like, I don't think money's going to be able to fix every single issue, but it's definitely going to be able to close the gaps for like a school like Nebraska perfectly. So I think so. I think it'll definitely make it more, like I said, close the gaps for it. So
yeah, I think close the gaps. I'm not willing to go all the way with Cowherd. I got to see how it plays out, but I think the gaps are certainly going to be a lot closer than they ever were before. We'll go ahead and play the rest of this. There's a second part to it. We won't have time for that as well, but just more on Matt Rule again, talking about those facilities, maybe not as great. And then he continues on. Here's more with Matt Rule.
And we're at a place where we have the best facility in football. We have everything that we could want. We make more of an investment in nutrition than any other team in the country. I mean, look at all of our sports. Look at how they're all blossoming right now because of the investments we're making in nutrition, sports science. Like, there wasn't a sauna in the facility when we first got there. And now you got to pick between a steam room, a sauna, an infrared sauna, your personal sauna. Like, those were investments. Scott came at a time, he had COVID, he had all these different things. So I can't talk about his time. But what I can say was, this wasn't a good job. Yeah, it was not a good job. But we've made it a good job, and we're about to make it a great job. This will be one of the best jobs in the country. And like, that's why sometimes recruits will say, like, Coach, if you win, what are you going to do? I'm like, I'm going to stay right here. Like, the only thing I ever think about is getting a lake house in one of these lakes in Nebraska I keep hearing about.
Which are fantastic lake houses.
They are great.
But there's Matt Rule again, like kind of doubles down on facilities weren't great. I got here, and of course, Trev Alberts, we had the plans to renovate Memorial Stadium, do X, Y, and Z. Alberts is gone. Dan steps in, but that still stays intact. So whatever you think of Trev Alberts, like, he did have a part in making sure we're going in this direction. And then again, it goes across all of these sports now where you're getting this. Just your thoughts on Matt Rule, especially at the end there, like, talk about I'm not leaving as long as he's winning. Do you guys fully believe him? Like, he wants this to be a permanent stay as long as the wins keep rolling in and we don't got to worry about Matt Rule as long as we're winning games?
Yeah, I don't think he's going to head anywhere else unless maybe an NFL job comes up, if he does have. But that's going to take quite a few years of success, I think, at Nebraska before that happens. But I think he's here to stay, especially like you said. Where else do you go? Like, if Nebraska is winning and they're, in they make it to tier 1 in the Big Ten, where else do you go, right? I mean, unless there's an SEC school that's going to pay you boatloads of money. But even that, I think it's the top of the Big Ten's either going to win the national championship or the top of the SEC. So if you can make your way up in the Big Ten, you're there. You're at, one of the best jobs in the country. So I think if he establishes that, then there's nowhere else to go. And I think he'll be extremely happy here. And it'll be cool to be the guy that turned Nebraska around.
Yeah, the legacy part's been hanging out there for anybody wanting to grab. And it's up there for Dylan Rail as much as it is for Matt Rule. Really, we'll get your thoughts before we throw the break here.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I think the way, like, going hand in hand with the investments they're making for the facilities for not even just the football team, but in general, it's something that he's completely bought in on. The staff he's bringing in, it's like he wants this to be the job that works out. And again, no diss to the previous schools he was at all, but this is a huge brand. And like you said, to be the coach that did it all here, it's like, I wouldn't trade that either. So I could easily see him being here if he keeps winning for sure. So
yeah, and then I never want to read too much on the personal lives, but it seems to be very family oriented guy, and I think as long as the family's happy here, that's probably going to play a pretty big role as well. With that being said, though, we got to throw it to break. We'll play more audio clips through Big Ten Media Days. More Rule. We got Dylan Raiola. We also got the Big Ten commissioner. So don't go anywhere. Take Weeknights. Rudy, Harrison, Tristan. We'll talk to you in just a little bit.
Big box stores are tempting for buying equipment for your high schooler in sports or for yourself in your sports leisures. But buying new is awfully expensive. Why not go somewhere with new and used options? Play It Again Sports is quality, slightly to gently used equipment, and 50% of their inventory is actually new equipment. And it's more than baseball, softball, and golf. They also have equipment for disc golf, fitness, hockey, and more. Plus, they're always buying products. Bring your gear you're done with and get trade money on the spot. Play It Again Sports at 48th and Vine.
Have you been injured in an accident and don't know where to turn? You need an attorney you can trust to handle your case with professionalism and compassion. The attorneys at Liberty Law Group understand that a call to an attorney is a call for help. If you've been injured, we want to help you. Liberty Law's experienced attorneys are committed to the pursuit of justice for those injured. Call Liberty Law and find out how we can help you get the compensation you deserve. Call 877-42-LIBERTY. Call the trial attorneys you can trust. 877-42-LIBERTY.
Make bill paying a breeze with Text to Pay. LES texts you 1 week before your bill's due date. Just reply to the text to pay. It's that easy. Log into your account at les.com to sign up today.
Saturday. Eagle Raceway is open for a full season of dirt track racing action every Saturday night. Don't miss the epic battles on the high banks of Eagle Raceway each Saturday between the Nebraska Septic Sprint Cars, Nebraska Lottery Modifieds, Avid Realty Sport Mods, Valentino's Hobby Stocks, and A1 Iron Stock Cars. Let's go racing. Eagle Raceway, just 10 miles east of Lincoln on O Street. Check out the full schedule at eagleraceway.com.
This is James Harrell with NP Dodge Real Estate. When I became a licensed realtor, I wanted a brokerage that would help me grow in my new career. I found that in Lincoln First Realty. When Lincoln First was acquired by NP Dodge, the training and support I received only got better. I love knowing I have the power of the NP Dodge brand behind me. I would recommend NP Dodge to new agents looking to jumpstart their real estate career and to current agents who want to take their business to the next level.
Expand your career with NP Dodge. Call Eric at 402-434-2222.
When opportunity knocks, you don't want to miss the call. Hamilton Business Technologies makes communication easy and efficient using customized technology, all while putting people first. Whether you're working from the office, at home, or on the go, Hamilton Business Technologies equips your business with the right tools for smooth, professional call handling. Hamilton Business Technologies. Real people, real technology solutions. Learn more at hamiltonisbusiness.com.
Are you a skilled mechanic looking for your next opportunity? Nebco is hiring. They're looking for experienced mechanics to join our family-owned team. They offer competitive wages, great benefits, service trucks, OEM-level diagnostic software, and career growth opportunities. Apply today at nebco.com. Positions include lead and A-level mechanics for the Nebco shop. Learn more at nebco.com. If you're driven and ready to grow with a company that's been around since 1908, apply today at nebco.com.
When you were a kid, clubs were cool. Robotics club and space club and stuff like that. But what do adults get? Book clubs and quilting clubs? Nah, forget that. How about margarita clubs and old-fashioned clubs? Get to Upside Bar and Lounge for the best clubs in town. Try all 10 varieties of Upside margaritas or old fashions and take home a free souvenir glass. Grab the whole crew and pair it with taco night on Mondays or whiskey Wednesdays. Upside Bar and Lounge at 29th and Pine Lake.
MHC isn't new, just a new name. Mo's Moving is now Mo's Home and Commercial. Whether moving across town or across the state, MHC Moving has you covered. Specializing in home, apartments, assisted, and independent living moves. MHC can also handle your commercial moves as well. There's never fees on trucks, stairs, elevators, long carry, and last-minute booking, and no trip or fuel charges. Also no upcharge on weekends, and they do offer payment plans through PayPal. Call MHC Moving today at 402-853-7167 or go to mhcmoving.com.
Rico here with HIS Auto Care at 70th and Van Dorn, letting you know HIS is a great place to bring your vehicle for service. With superior service bumper to bumper, we'll treat your vehicle like it's your mother's. Doesn't get any better than that. So call 402-488-8934 and HIS Auto will make you glad you did. 5% off, mention this ad, and for sure your mother will be proud you called. 402-488-8934. 8934 HIS Auto Care, 70th and Van Doren. God bless you.
At Valentino's, we're on a mission for tradition. On every slice, for every bite. Golden baked crust, cooked to perfection every time. Savory sweet sauce that's made from our own secret recipe. Loaded with the perfect amount of fresh toppings and melty mozzarella cheese. It's the tradition that Nebraskans have come to love. From game day to every day. Valentino's. Taste the tradition.
Back to the Ticket weeknights on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
All right, welcome back in. Ticket Weeknights. Harrison on the ones and twos. As always, we got Tristan, Rudy talking more Big Ten Media Days in particular with a spotlight on Husker football. And we got plenty more audio clips to get to. So without me talking too much, we're just going to get to one right now. This one, again, we're talking Matt Rule here. Let me squint down so I can read it. This one just on the team's close losses. While we play it, before I play that real quick, close losses, give me you guys quick 1-2 points. Why do you think we just constantly run into close losses even before Matt Rule was here?
I think it's the struggle that they haven't been winning. So I think they never, once you win a few of those close games, you get into those, crunch time moments and you go, all right, yeah, we've won this before, we'll go and win. And then when you start losing those, close games, it gets to the fourth quarter and you go, oh no, we're here again. Can we pull this one out? So I think it's just, they didn't have the momentum into those games. So, it wasn't an excitement when it got to the end of the fourth quarter. It was oh gosh, let's not mess this up. So I think once they start winning those close games and build that confidence, then those moments are going to repeat again, and then they're ready for them. And it's not a worry moment. It's all right, let's go do this.
Rudy, what about you?
Yeah, I agree. I think it definitely stems from confidence. We both play baseball, so it's one of those things like going into the ninth, you're down by 2. It's like, yeah, we're not doing this. But it's like if you've done it before, you're going to find a way to figure it out. You kind of feel like you're never going to lose those games, even if you do a couple times. And I think he's kind of shaping that. I think last year they had that whole YouTube series about chasing 3 because they had lost so many games by just 3 or more points or 3 or under points. And so it's like he's instilling that now. So I definitely feel like it's something that can turn around, but it definitely starts with confidence. So I hope they figure it out.
Yeah, that chasing 3 after middle of the season last year, that chasing 3 got a little like, oof.
Yeah.
We're still chasing 3, and you're kind of hoping for like the title not to be as true as it was. But luckily at the very end there, we did. We managed, at least he's got a couple of those under his belt. Still a negative record in terms of those one-loss scores. But again, you take over, and I'm going to take his words, you take over a program at Nebraska that's behind in, all these other areas that these other powerhouse Big Ten schools aren't in. Like, that's how you get inconsistent results where, the facilities and how you're operating them is inconsistent in itself. So not super down on him, for the record, he's won a few, which is much more than what these past few coaches have done. With that being said, let's listen to Matt Rule himself on the close losses.
Lost a lot of those games because we just weren't good enough. I think it's just sometimes a great storyline to say, hey, you know what, close loss here, close loss. I mean, and there's some of it, but our focus has been on like, just improving as a team because they don't all have to be close. Some of those games, why don't we win by 14? I saw a different mindset from our team in the Pinstripe Bowl. We were up and they came back. We had to make a couple plays. Dylan made a play. Ramir Stewart hit a power to win the game on 4th and 2. And what I saw for the first time was not a lot of panic. But that panic comes from when you don't think you control what happens. When you're like listening to all the outside narratives and we should be doing this and we should do that. And finally the team grows up. It's what people always ask me about year 3. Finally the team grows up and they're like, well, I got to go make the play and I got to go pick the ball off and I got to go block the punt. And, none of those special teams errors were coached that way. And so we take ownership of it. Don't get me wrong, but like, it's a much different feeling when you walk in with a bunch of guys that now they know they're good. And some of them, they're the same players. They're just good because they're a year into the system. And that 250-pound guy is now 280-pound guys, the 280-pound guy. So I'm an incrementalist. I believe in just getting a little bit better every year.
So there you go. Again, it kind of goes back to it's just weren't good. When he first got there. And he does have a point in saying it's like you're in a lot of one-score games because you're not even good enough to beat Northwestern by 2 scores or Rutgers by 2 scores or Purdue by 2 scores. You're constantly running into close games because you're failing to take advantage of the teams that are quote unquote less on paper. But then you show up for the big games because maybe that pressure's off. Just real quick, I want to ask you guys when we're talking about this, is there anything outside of, I think we had some coach speak there, which is totally fine. On the special teams part, though, how does it get as bad as this has been? Because that one, even with culture, is hard to explain. Just the constant ebbs and flows. Like, was that a team that wasn't good enough, or was that, an Ed Foley wrong position coach, wrong, just not the right fit in terms of coaching?
Yeah, I think it goes straight to coaching, right? I think as a player, if you have a coach that instills discipline in you, you just know, like, this is a coach I don't want to fail for. Like, I'm going to go all out for this guy. And if I mess up, like, I'm going to feel disappointed in myself because I let this guy down. When I also think maybe the position coach didn't have that much confidence in himself to coach these guys. So as a player, when you see a coach that maybe like doesn't even believe in himself that much and maybe isn't, setting you up for success to just go out on the field and just perform, that makes it a little harder. So I felt like it was very individual with all these special teams, issues, because it wasn't the team altogether. It wasn't the whole special teams out there going, all right, we have one job right here, let's do it. I think it was a whole bunch of individuals, maybe because the coaching didn't instill that, consistency, that discipline. So I think that might just be the main thing. And these are college guys. I think sometimes we forget, like, all right, these guys aren't, pros that have been doing this forever. Like, their coaching plays a huge role. So if the coaches aren't, confident in instilling in them, then we can't expect these players just to be perfect on the field.
Yeah, Rudy, but what about you?
Yeah, I think with the coaching too, it kind of goes down because like special teams is kind of like, at least for me when I'm watching football, that's definitely like the third thing I'm kind of the most important. I'm looking at the offense, defense, and then their special teams. And I feel like obviously I don't know what was going on in those meetings or how the coaching was previously, but if like going back to the coaching, if it's not something that's harped on every single day and you don't have someone who cares about what they're doing as much, kind of like now we have a new special teams coach coming in who I think is going to turn that around. And so I think it's something that if you don't pay attention to the little details, then it's obviously not going to come out there on Saturdays. And I think that's kind of what they just kept running into as well. So hopefully that does turn around with who we've got from Tennessee. So
yeah, and Ed Foley's defense, I think, is just another one of those things. It's like, what a dumpster fire to walk into as far as like special teams goes. Like, there's not a whole lot of. He came here and really had to start from scratch.
Yeah,
because the whole thing was broken. And I'll give him some things, like he finally figured out. They got Arzia Garcia Castaneda back there, who did a good job. Wasn't necessarily trying to take a bunch of back, but was at least maintaining the possession, not making a unforced fumble or muffing the punt, which we've seen by some of our best players struggling in those same positions. So I think we've always had the talent, and I think it was just a broken culture, broken system, and it was a lot for Ed Foley. But he's still on staff. So it tells you like they weren't just blaming him on everything. There's things he brings to the team. Otherwise he still wouldn't be there. And then with Mike Eckler out of Tennessee, I think that's a huge, huge hire. Got a lot of faith in it. Speaking of, special teams though, we'll talk about Iowa because that's the team that kills us every single year. And why are special teams important? That's how Iowa goes 9-3 or, bad years, 7 wins. Like, if you can just control the field, you save yourselves a lot of chains that you have to move. You save your defense, a lot of yardage that, if they give it up, don't worry, they're still not in the red zone because Iowa pinned them within their 5. And we've felt that at the end of games where Iowa starts killing us with our special teams. And that stuff is such momentum shifts. And that's how they beat us last year, as they do every year. It's always the walk-off field goal. Here's Matt Rule on that Iowa loss and why it was important.
I got great news. Nothing that happened last year carries over into this year. And that's a good thing, right? Like the Iowa loss at the end of the year was really, really probably painful, but sometimes it's the pain you need. It's the pain that spurs you forward in the offseason when, guys get a little bit complacent. And there's no complacency at the University of Nebraska right now. Our guys all understand that we've got good enough players. Well, we have an excellent roster. We're fast. We're explosive. We've got veterans where we need to. We're good on the lines. We've got great coaches. But we're going to have to go perform. And that performance comes from guys owning it and not listening to anything else, not listening to the guy in the locker room complaining, like shutting all that up and saying, hey, Husker football, it's about performance. It's about us going out there and getting it done. And so that's why I mentioned the classroom. That's why I mentioned the growth of these guys. You see a team that understands that. So I look forward to the first close game. I look forward to seeing our guys execute in it, but it's not something out here. It's about getting young people to be a little bit better each year, recruiting good players, and I think you'll see a good team this year.
Okay, so first part of that one, take it with a little bit of tongue in cheek here. I think we did enough losing. Like the pain. How many years in a row do you got to lose to Iowa? Being like, no, this pain's good. It's like okay, winning's good too, but we did beat Boston College, so there might be some definite truth in that because the team definitely bounced back, found a way to get it done with Boston College. But more of the latter part of that, he just kind of goes on to continue about the mindset of the team and how that has to change. Do you feel like we're kind of at that point where they can just go be competitors and stop worrying about that, the pain of the potential of a loss, which is crazy to say, but that feels like how we've lost games. It's like we're worried about the potential of losing. Have we suffered enough pain to just be done with that? And do you think the guys are in that locker room believing what he's saying is not just speak, but the truth, that it's just a bunch of grown adults now? Like they've gone through enough of the woes. They can go out there and be consistent, even if they do walk into the locker room, they're down 14-0.
Yeah, I think now they kind of have, again, I've said it like twice now, but they don't have a reason to be bad this year. And I think it definitely starts with the players for sure. And so, like, Rule's instilling that confidence in them of like, that if we come into the locker room, we're down 14-0 against Iowa, it is what it is. We got nothing to lose. I think I can't recall his exact words, but I remember he had like a pregame speech, something about if we die, we die, something like that. And I think
that's it on par.
That's exactly perfect. I'm a Husker fan. And so, like, I feel like that's definitely carrying over to the players. Kind of like, if we are down, who cares? Let's just go out. We got nothing to lose. And I think that's definitely starting to come out in their play. It did in Boston College. They, like you said, they bounced back from that. So I think if they carry that over, they have no reason to be bad. I'll keep saying that, I think. So
All right. Sounds better when you say it than it's supposed to me, who's maybe said it improperly in years prior. Definitely said it. You're one with Scott Frost. But Tristan, your thoughts on just that whole spiel? Are you buying it?
I'm buying it. I think Matt Rule is a guy, we probably said this about every coach before him, but he does seem like a guy that the players are buying into and they really believe in. They show up to practice for him. They don't want to let him down. I think there's a lot of other coaches in the country where you can almost tell that the players are out there giving it their all because the coaches have instilled so much confidence in them and they don't want to let their head coach down. Like they're like, I'll go to war for you. And so I think Matt Rule has instilled that into his players. And I think that's something maybe we haven't seen at Nebraska. And I think that after making a bowl game, that's the standard. And so the guys aren't just thinking like, all right, like, let's hope we can make a bowl game now. It's like, all right, we've done it. That's easy. Like, that's not easy, but we've done it now. And we're going to build off this. And Matt Rule's our guy that we're going to trust and go out and do this. So I believe it. I'm buying into the Kool-Aid right now. But we'll see once the season starts.
Yeah, that buy-in's huge. As much as some people might not like Jim Harbaugh, like to me, that was always his best selling point. Like those players not only trusted him, but they really believe that like he has their best interest. So you would see a lot of loyalty to Jim Harbaugh. And even like in the loaded running back room, you would see position changes there and it wouldn't break the program. The same way when we were struggling with Dana and Dante last year, you didn't want to say there's animosity between the players, but there certainly was like, okay, do we know what but like not all of the players were fully invested into the offense. Like not everyone was convinced that maybe you have my best interest, but I don't know if you fully know how to do this either.
Yeah.
And then you kind of led into that where you're happy to have Dana Holgerson there. I'll skip that one, then we'll go to break, and then we'll talk about that segment 3. We got clips on it. How important is just the new offensive, defensive, and then of course special teams coordinators for Nebraska this year? Ed Foley, not Tony White. John Butler's taken over for Tony White. And then, of course, Dana Holgerson. As soon as the season was over, you knew that was going to be your guy going forward. How important? Just locking in those 3 guys.
Absolutely huge. I think bringing in new guys it's tough because they have to show up and they have to, like we talked about, just build that confidence in their position room. And I'm more excited for Holgerson and just to see what he does with that offense. There's nothing better than, having a Saturday, you're sitting on your couch and you just watch an offense just scheming up and just, throwing the ball here, running the ball here, and a defense just can't stop it.
Like the Wisconsin game.
Game. Like those games are what like get you fired up. There's, some very fine things in life. And I think an offense that just has a perfect scheme in games is one of those. So I'm excited for him and another year with Raiola, him having a year under his belt, Holgerson coming in later at the end of the season last year. I think them having this whole offseason together is going to be so fun to watch.
Yeah, I'm super glad that as soon as the offseason happened, like you knew, because you needed that connection. But year 2, Dylan Raiola, like we got to make sure we set him up. Rudy, your thoughts? 3 of those coordinators all taken over. You got confidence? Where you at?
That's one of the reasons I think I fully say all the time that I don't think they have a reason to be bad. They have the players for it, but the staff that Rule's building around them and putting into place now is something that I've always enjoyed looking at how he's doing it. Like I remember when they first had some of their first pressers, I was cutting up the clips and I was listening and I was like these guys he's bringing in fully believe in this program. They, outside of just football, I think a lot of them harped on building those building like the connections with the players. And I feel like that's something that kind of gets overlooked, especially in college football with how flash in the pan it is. And so to see that they want to be here, they want the best for the players, it's definitely going to translate in the field, I think. So I think it's a great start for sure.
I'm assuming one of those you're cutting up was Mike Eckler.
Yes.
Yeah, that guy will get you fired up. And
Yep.
it's like when you hear people like that who, again, we have to wait and see. It's all optimism during the Big Ten media days. But when you can just hear a guy who's fired up about special teams, and that's an area that we've just been dreadful in. So it's like you get a guy that seems that passionate, who has pretty clear goals and what he wants to do, to the fact that even though we had, a good punter, he wants to go his way because he knows what he wants. Let me go get this Australian punter. I'm blanking on his name. Was it Wilson?
I believe so. Yeah.
Archie Wilson.
Yeah. Not Manning, not Arch Manning. Archie Wilson, Australian style punter. So it's a bummer because you have to switch up things again, but it also gives you some hope because it's like he walked in here and it seemed pretty instantly he knew what he needs to do to turn that special teams, that third phase of the game around. And that's been the one that's really been killing Nebraska and everything. One score losses, momentum shifts just over and over and over has plagued this team. So Mike Eckler certainly catches a lot of noise. And then in the others, Matt Rule's got some comments about those coordinators as well. We'll hear that next. Don't go anywhere. Ticket Weeknights, Tristan, Rudy, Harrison, Arens. Talk to you in a little bit.
MHC isn't new, just a new name. Mo's Moving is now Mo's Home and Commercial. Whether moving across town or across the state, MHC Moving has you covered. Specializing in home, apartment, assisted, and independent living moves. MHC can also handle your commercial moves as well. There's never fees on trucks, stairs, elevators, long carry, and last-minute booking, and no trip or fuel charges. Also no upcharge on weekends, and they do offer payment plans through PayPal. Call MHC Moving today at 402-853-7167 or go to mhcmoving.com.
A lot of businesses say they're family focused, but when tough situations in life arise, the business wants anything but your best interests. James Enterprise Incorporated is hiring, and they will always treat their employees like family, just as they do their customers. James Enterprise Incorporated is hiring Class A and B CDL drivers, a shop tech, and a diesel mechanic. If you're looking for a career with a company that goes above and beyond to value you and your family, apply today at jamesenterpriseinc.com or call 402-432-6740.
We interrupt this commercial break for an important story.
There once was a man from Nebraska who went searching for food in Alaska. When his stomach was rumbling while laying in bed, he could think of only one option, Führer's cheese spread. So he left it once and drove day and night to return back home for cheese spread delight. Now his stomach is full and the voice in his head tells him no more vacations without Führer's cheese spread. Find yours today at most local grocers.
Rosie's Sports Bar and Grill, open for lunch and dinner at 1501 Center Park Road, just south of 14th and Highway 2. Attention all Wings fans, Buffalo Wings and Rings has daily specials that will make you want to stop in on all days of the week. Kids eat free on Mondays, and on Tuesdays enjoy 40% off boneless or traditional wings at a price that makes the whole family happy. And come back on Wednesdays for $1.39 chicken tenders all day long. Get to Wings and Rings today, 68th and O, or in Williamsburg Village.
Life changes, and sometimes that means changing where you call home. Whether you're downsizing, growing your family, relocating, or facing tough times, you shouldn't navigate it alone. I'm Laura Bonta-Bush with Woods Rose Realty, and I'm here to guide you with all your real estate needs. As wife of football coach Bill Bush, I understand the importance of teamwork and making sure you are supported every step of the way with honesty, integrity, and compassion. If you're looking for a game plan to buy or sell your home, text or call me at 402-525-0843. That's 402-525-0843.
Attorney CPA Joe Cordell.
Hopefully you and I agree that you should do everything you can to save your marriage. Divorce is hard, expensive, and its outcome is usually not all you hope for. However, when doing everything has failed, when divorce remains as your last option, consider Cordell & Cordell as your first choice to help you through the divorce process to a better place on the other side. We've been a partner men can count on for more than 30 years. Let us be that partner for you.
The attorneys at Cordell & Cordell work to help men maximize their role in their children's lives. Schedule an appointment with one of Cordell & Cordell's Lincoln area attorneys, a partner men can count on. 402-858-3220. That's 402-858-3220. Online at CordellCordell.com. That's CordellCordell.com. Office in downtown Lincoln. 1221 N Street, Suite 801, Lincoln, Nebraska 68508.
Gaina Trucking is hiring CDL Class A and B drivers. Their strong team culture makes it not a job, but a career. Gaina Trucking offers health, vision, and dental insurance, 401k with company match, an employee assistance program, and other bonus programs. Build a better career today with great team culture at Gaina Trucking. Learn more and apply today at GainaTrucking.com.
Rashawn Jackson here for Bauer Underground, who has been serving local contractors and utility contractors all across the state since 1997. When you see the black and white trucks, you know the baddest dudes in the business have arrived. Bauer is currently looking for equipment operators, laborers, diesel mechanics, and aerial linemen. Join the brotherhood built on hard work, authentic people, and pedigree of success. Bauer, a family-friendly company who reminds you, don't be red.
Are you a skilled mechanic looking for your next opportunity? Nebco is hiring. They're looking for experienced mechanics to join our family-owned team. They offer competitive wages, great benefits, service trucks, OEM-level diagnostic software, and career growth opportunities. Apply today at nebco.com. Positions include lead and A-level mechanics for the Nebco shop. Learn more at nebco.com. If you're driven and ready to grow with a company that's been around since 1908, apply today at nebco.com.
MHC isn't new, just a new name. Mo's Moving is now Mo's Home and Commercial. Whether moving across town or across the state, MHC Moving has you covered. Specializing in home, apartment, assisted, and independent living moves. MHC can also handle your commercial moves as well. There's never fees on trucks, stairs, elevators, long carry, and last-minute booking, and no trip or fuel charges. Also no upcharge on weekends, and they do offer payment plans through PayPal. Call MHC Moving today at 402-853-7167 or go to mhcmoving.com.
Back to the Ticket Weeknights on 93.7 The Ticket and theticketfm.com.
All right, welcome in. Final segment with me, Rudy, Tristan. Again, talking Big Ten Media Days. We'll do that again tomorrow. We'll do that again on Wednesday. Or actually, today is Tuesday. So, yeah, tomorrow will be Wednesday, and then we'll do it again on Thursday. And then Friday, we'll be back to, should be for the most part, normal programming, as long as everyone's flights work out well. But as I said, be prepared for that throughout the day and throughout the weeknights, as football is right around the corner. We were talking about the new coordinators at Nebraska football. Even though we still held on to Satterfield, we still held on to Ed Foley. Tony White's the only one that's actually out the doors over there in Florida State. But here's Matt Rule, just on those three coordinators, new coordinators at the University of Nebraska.
You know, the great thing about Dana is, he's been a head coach. He knows the challenges of being a head coach. He has the loyal, I always feel like when guys have been a head coach and they go back to being an assistant, their comprehension of loyalty to the program, to the head coach changes. I mean, it's so hard to sit there as the head coach and make these decisions and have everyone be like, well, we should do this and we should do that. So Dana's elite in that. And I think my trust in him, where I bring a lot to him. I sit in his office like, hey, what do you think we should do here? What do we think we should do here? Eck just brings a ton of energy and belief. I think our guys believe so much in what we're about to do special teams wise. And then, I think John, the great thing was he was in the system. So, he knows what we've done, but he has so much knowledge from his time in the National Football League. He had the number one secondary in Buffalo, I think, for like 5 years. And so his ability now, it's been an adjustment for him probably coming to college. And, you're not just coaching pros now, you're training guys. And so training and teaching guys, he had a chance to do that as a position coach. And now as a coordinator, I think he's done a wonderful job. He's meticulous. He's got some great guys there with him. He's got Phil Snow right there by his side. A guy that people don't talk about enough is Rob Dvorak. Rob's been with us every stop. Rob's going to be a coordinator someday. He's a special coach, but he knows all sort of the history of everything. And so we just have great people, and I'm blessed to down Corey Campbell, Kristen Coggin, the people down Mitch handling sports science. Like there's some days I walk in and Mitch, I don't know what my job is, other than to recruit and go be a part of the players' lives. So the coordinators are going to do a great job. I'm very pleased.
So you have it. He goes on all of those as well as some extra coaches. And I'll ask you guys about the coordinators, but I'm going to throw in Phil Snow because he does get forgotten about a lot. Like you get John Butler, Phil Snow, really defensive minded guy. As far as my understanding, that's going to be a big part of his role. It's like, let me help John Butler. Mm-hmm. Defense is my specialty. Let me make sure that John Butler in this new position that he has what he needs. He has the mentorship that if needed, Phil Snow can fill in some of the gaps there. So you can throw him in the mix. Phil Snow, Dana Holgerson, Ed Foley, Mike Eckler. Which one of those offensive coordinators are you most optimistic on? And then which one are you most concerned on? And that doesn't mean you don't have faith. Just like if you're going to actually bar these in order.
Yeah, I would have to. I mean, Holgerson, I think I'm really excited about just because he's having a full year. I think we saw some good glimpses towards the end. Eckler, I'm really excited about just because his energy. Mm-hmm. I feel like Nebraska's problem, haven't taken a whole bunch of pride in the special teams. And so when you start seeing, people take pride in special teams because it's not going to win you games a whole bunch, but it can easily lose them. And I think we've seen that. So I think those are the top two I got to go with. I don't really think I'm down on anyone. And I think one of the nice things is
most questions would be more fair answer, I guess.
Yeah.
You're not down,
I would go
but
with Snell, but just because, he is, not like, he's been in the program, but he hasn't like really, been established as in like, all right, we can trust this guy. But I think he has, the potential to, like you said, be a coordinator one day. And I think you see it more in the NFL, but there's difference between guys that are just going out there to win and there's guys that are just going to try to win to keep their job.
Yeah.
And I think in Nebraska, Matt Rule's brought in a great group of guys that no one's there just to try to keep their job. Like they're all there like, all right, we're here to win. Like that's all we're doing. I'm not afraid of getting fired because you've put Rules put the confidence in them to just go out there and be the best coach they can be. So I think they're all in great opportunities. And I think they all have the same mindset that Rule has instilled in them. Like, let's go win.
Yeah, that's a good point. A lot of those coaches could take a bigger swing, maybe even to the pros. But the fact that they're choosing Nebraska gives you some hope. It's like, okay, these guys are, to your point, they could go do bigger things, but they're being willing to be under head coach Matt Rule. And part of that, Matt Rule giving them the trust to fully operate in their own capacity. And again, you get more and more of Matt Rule taking this CEO approach, which I'm totally fine with. I think time will tell that method seems to be working more than it maybe has in the past, especially with how big these staffs are getting. How now you got a limited roster. I mean, the staff size just from 10 years ago, the staff's massive. And if you want to be a head coach that micromanages everything, probably going to lead to more problems than just trusting the people that you hired because you trusted them. So to go back on that trust in the middle of it, unless you have some obvious reasons, could be problematic. Rudy, what about you? Again, maybe not poor choice of words. You're not down on him, but you have more questions in terms of some of the new faces, coordinators, and if you've got any, Phil Snow's in there, you can throw on them.
Yeah,
as well.
I wouldn't say anyone new kind of gives me any questions yet. I'm excited for a lot of these guys, especially Mike Eckler. I think, like I said earlier, special teams isn't something I genuinely harp on as a fan, but the fact that I'm excited for it kind of speaks a lot for me. So I'm looking forward to how that's going to turn out. He obviously has a great line of work to back it up, so I'm excited to see that in Lincoln. I think one that, again, not question marks, but I know Coach Barthel. No, Barthel.
Yep.
There you go. All I know is that I know Texas wanted him when he was kind of like testing the waters over the offseason. And so I want to see how he bounces back with the running backs he's got this year. Obviously, I think he's a great running backs coach, but I'm excited to see what he does now in terms of kind of just me being selfish and like, what would he have done for my Longhorns? But I think the staff from top to bottom, I like how many coaches there are actually, just because if there's some small detail getting left out, someone's going to catch it. And so I like how many people are on the staff. Again, there is a lot of people when you're looking at this, but I think for how Matt Rule is trying to coach up the small issues here, it's definitely going to be something I'm excited for. So I hope it works out.
Yeah, and I agree with you. To get excited about special teams probably shows you how much you maybe took granted for it in the past and how bad it's actually gotten. And I forgot to mention throwing Terry Braden as well, from Kansas City. Obviously had a lot of success, working with Jones, one of the best to do it at that position group. Like he's seen winners, he's seen just winning culture. I just love the idea of getting coaches that know what it's like to win at the highest levels. And again, he was not the head defensive line coach over there at the Kansas City's, but assistant defensive line coach. So this would be a upgrade for him as to fully being in charge. But he's got to live up to it because obviously you're losing some big pieces there. You're going to have to develop some guys, but I do think Terry Bredin is sneaky, another really good hire in this offseason. We didn't even mention, we get the GM role as well. He come from the Patriots. Like the coaching staff has maybe not exploded, but certainly added on a lot. And it's going to allow Matt Rule to take more of a CEO approach. We'll hear more quotes throughout the day, more tomorrow as well. Early break will start off, I'm sure, with more quotes, but that's going to do it for me, Tristan. Rudy talked a lot of Big Ten Media days, and we're going to do it a lot more again tomorrow. Appreciate you guys listening. Enjoy the rest of your Tuesday.